Yeah, we are live. Hello, everybody, and we are live today in our new space of TEEs and AI agents. And this space is going to be pretty interesting because we have the best people who offer TEEs and people who have been building into the space for so long. And in this session specifically, what we would be doing is that we would be going on to different type of content and different type of questions which are there and also following up. Can you guys see my screen? Is my screen visible?
It is, but if you can just zoom in a little bit more, it will become much more visible.
Amazing. Let me just zoom in. So, this space is all about navigating through DEs and AI agents. And we have some amazing guests over here. We have Prashant from Spheron, we have Marlin from Phala, and we have Conan from Rena Labs. And Prateek is just joining in and figuring out his camera. And then we have me, who is from Spheron. And this is a reminder for everybody to just understand why this TEE space has been pretty important for everybody and why this space uh, is so pivotal in terms of technology. And there are different things which we are going to discuss around, and so that everybody has this tangible uh, talking points and we don't have to break it down for everyone. We would be sharing the link to this Figma board for everybody to see what we have discussed and you can reference it again. But I'm going to leave it first for all our guests to introduce themselves. And I'm going to start with Conan. So, Conan, go ahead, introduce yourself and what you do at Rena Labs and what Rena Labs are trying to do.
Yeah. Thank you for the brief intro. So I'm Conan. I'm the founder and CEO of Rena Labs. And Rena Labs is building a trustless intelligence platform supercharged by our TE abstraction stacks. And we think this is like the core technology that to secure the generalized AI era, where to getting like a fully autonomous AI agents, secure ML models, and a lot of other aspects with the intersection of blockchain and like AI stuffs. Yeah.
Amazing. And I would move to Marvin. Marvin, please do tell about yourself and what you do at Phala and what Phala is trying to solve.
Awesome. Thank you for having me here. So, my name is Marvin Tong. I'm the co-founder of Phala Network, and I'm also building a funny thing called Sprout of Fun for AI agents. So, actually, I think Phala's mission is kind of like we want to offer affordable cryptographic computers based on any technology, stacks. And today, I would say the most high ROI security computer technology is TE, right? So that's why we are all here. But I also want to address the point that TE is not against with any other cryptographic solutions. So it can be used together with MPC, FHA, whatever. So yeah, this is our mission. We want to reduce the barrier of Web3 adoption. Yeah.
Amazing. And we have Prateek from Marlin. Prateek, why won't you tell about yourself and what you do at Marlin and also about Marlin? I think Prateek, you're on mute.
Yeah, I think so there is an option where we have to just allow Pratik once, and then it just allows your browser to basically. Yeah, now you're better. You came in and then
Yeah, I'm audible now, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
perfect.
you are.
Right. So I'm Pratik. I'm a researcher at Marlin, and at Marlin we focus mostly on like compute. Essentially, everyone here more or less does compute, but basically we I think we focus on TEs, and we essentially try to create usable TEs, to make it easy for users to actually start using TEs and not view it. I think there are a lot of misconceptions about what TE is and what it can do. I guess that's something we try to avoid and try to tell people what exactly it can be used for and can't be used for, because of course TEs are not a magic bullet for everything. So yeah.
Amazing. And now we have Prashant, who is from Spheron. Prashant, tell about yourself, what you do at Spheron, and about Spheron.
Yeah, man. So I'm currently working as an intern at Spheron, and that is what I tell
Come on, man.
everyone. Is like
You do.
because you guys always like bring me in as an intern most of the time. So that is what I do. Coming back to Spheron, we are building the supercompute network, which allows everyone to participate and provide their compute network. We don't discriminate between any kind of system. So essentially, like if somebody, so let's say if Marvin from Marlin or from Phala, from anyone who having compute and they want to basically make their compute accessible to the retail in a very sophisticated manner via our toolkits, they can basically enable that quite seamlessly with Spheron. That's one thing. The second thing is also we also aggregate retail systems. So essentially, anyone who wants to deploy anything on a workload on a retail system, they can do that. We also aggregate normal data centers also. So anyone looking forward to run anything over a secure compute, they can go ahead and do that as well. So that's what we do at Spheron. And just thank you to Marvin and Prateek here, because I think it's going to be a very interesting space. And also Conan from your side. I think they have already mentioned the things which T can't do and could do, and the misconception around that. And that's the reason, like, and we also wrote an article around the same around Skynet, which basically spoke about TE also, some part of it. So I thought like it would be amazing to have some of the brightest mind in the industry to bring here and ask them the same question, so that the people who are into the space and looking forward for these answers, this space should be the one they should be referring to, and we all can refer to them like this one where they can come in and basically look into. But thank you guys, thank you so much for three of you joining us, and looking forward to have a very amazing discussion down the line.
Amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for introducing yourself. And it's actually a pleasure to have you. I think if we go out and simply Google search for different protocols and solutions out there which provides TEs, I think we have most of the people who actually do that. And it's amazing to have you guys on this stream. So what I have done is that I have broken down this whole stream into few sections. It's around like what and who, what about the market, what about AI and TE, the interoperability and standardization around TE. And then there is this section of which is called separate angles, where you can shell what you have been building on specifically in terms of product, in terms of different machines you have onboarded, or specifically you're doing something for the users. And this stream is mostly a laid back stream, so you do not have to be very consistent around the answers. You can be very frank around the answer and the way you put things forward. And there is no restriction itself into answering into anything and going deep, or going into criticality around each other. And this is an open space even for great feedback. So I would take things like that. So moving on to the very first section, what and who. So exactly, if I really put myself as a non-technical member of the team, which is mostly a slur in San Francisco, but what exactly is TEE? If anybody wants to take up this question and explain me pretty quickly.
I can start off. So
Yeah,
essentially,
sure.
TEs, I guess, is our trust execution environments, as it's written already there. But TEs essentially provide a safe place for your code to run, which is like where there is no external interference, and then like whatever is promised to be run in a specific like computer, you can prove that the same thing is running in there. So I guess like on a very high level, that's essentially what TE is.
And like, what's their growing role in securing AI? Like, everybody has put onto the narrative that it secures AI and it is very required right now. What do you guys feel is the one of the most important part of these in potentially being the specific compute or the type of hardware which is very much required in securing all of that? What do you guys think about it?
Yeah, I
It's
guess I
it's
can.
an open space. Yeah,
Yeah,
Conan, go
I
ahead.
can take on like start talking about. So like I think the primary use case in AI space at TE we're talking about is private computation, where either the protocol applications the user want to retain their data privacy or their data sovereignty ownership. They can hand over the data in a like T like to execute in a T environment to orchestrate with the model, and also from like a lot of trading scenarios, those trading institutions that they want to keep their model privacy preserved, to be traded while not being reverse engineered, can also operate in that environment. And recently, like a pretty popular space or entry point is using TE to feature the fully autonomous AI agent, especially in the DeFi scenario, because if a TE is not featured, if it's like an agent without executed in the TE, simply using like AWS bot, you never know, because like the developer will have a backdoor to manipulate, to tamper, and this would involve a lot of your sensitive information, including your private key, etc. And but with TE, everything's different because first of all, it's definitely tamper proof, and it's verifiable for the execution process, and it's resistant to the potential agent rug pull, etc. Yeah, and I think that's like mostly commonly talk about use case that currently in the space. Yeah.
But eventually, which startups which are like just starting up, like let's say there is a very initial startup which are, for example, which requires machine for their models to run end to end. Would you think that in terms of practicality or in terms of initially budding from, let's say they are just onto one thread, that we are going to create an agent which is on DeFi and AI segment, and we are going to tell about the top 10 projects and going to list them, but there would be no financial transaction involved in that. So, would you think that it should be TEE should be the right point for them to initiate all of this?
I,
Yeah.
yeah, I think the question is gonna be for everyone. Anyone can jump in.
Yeah,
Um,
this is what we are trying to perceive, is
yeah,
not
what
gonna
I
throw
would,
ball at people.
yeah, I would also love to add. I think what Conan has just told, and on top of that, what you have just also told. I think it totally depends. Like, what is the kind of use case, and the use case which you have mentioned. Correct me, guys, if I may be wrong. Uh, it doesn't necessarily require T, right? Until unless there is no private data which is being processed, or there's until unless there is no some proprietary algorithm which has to be deployed on a system which requires T. So that's my belief. Like, if somebody is looking forward to go ahead and use a T, I'm also very a big fan of the T's entire ecosystem. But I think for this specific use case package which you have mentioned, I don't think so. It's very mandate, but I could be wrong. I would love to hear the answers from all the brightest mind of the T.
Yeah, I can give another 2 cents here. So I think the rest of TE have its own technical background, right? Like a couple of years ago, right? Like what, no matter like Marlin or Phala, right? When we begin to work on TE, the legacy SGX hardware is built for applications. It's not built for virtual machines, right? So it means that anyone who are trying to build data inside this SGX hardware is facing a huge integration problem. And I mean, it's easy to build a demo inside SGX, no doubt. That's super easy. But it's not easy to set up a theory service, alive to public, because you need to consider about how to back up the TE encrypted data set, or how to back up the keys, this and that, right? And you need to consider about, like, okay, what if the traffic is so big, then we might need to do some load balance work to enable these kind of cloud inference jobs inside the legacy SGX is a tragedy. So we waste a lot of time in there. So I think the most fundamental improvement in the last 2 years is a virtual machine centric TE uh, standard like TDX, AMD right? And of course, NVIDIA confidential compute definitely have a lot, and AWS Natural, of course. So I think this is more like from the chip manufacturing TE standard was been changing and how that reduced the barrier for new developers jumping into the space. That help a lot. Another thing is the PMF for the use cases in Web3. I think so far, of course, it's still very early. To be honest, I think it's still very early. We've been trying to find a PMF for a while. We tried metaverse, we tried on-chain gaming, we tried Web3 social, to onboard all of these ridiculous, not ridiculous, but like it's just a wrong timing. So they don't need it right away. Even for today, let's say crypto AI, I would say maybe not everyone needs TEE. We talk with many kind of potential customers. We do a lot of like DevRel and BD. We try to onboard them. Not everyone need it, but there's one thing I treasure a lot is I think the builders who have huge ambitions for crypto AI to shape whatever their idea is, no matter it's AI agent or AI infra. If they take very serious on what they are going to do and they think they are going to make a huge success, then when they're trying to design the system from scratch, they will consider about verifiability, right? Permissionless, unstoppable, all these features. And in that case, these kind of high profile, high ambition, successful use cases in AI are looking into TE solutions. So this is what I take so far. Um, yeah, I will just stop here and see like your add up.
Amazing. I feel this is a very right set of answer, which I was wanted to like I wanted to set piece in, and for people who are 40 IQ like me, and who need an understanding of what different type of levels of hardware there are. I think I have put out a set of level of secure hardware, which is already there in terms of different examples and also use cases in terms of performance and what kind of security model do they follow. And I've put out because Marvin has definitely spoken some words around XTS and TDX system and also TE. So it provides a simple guide of how these things are and where they are actually being utilized in terms of their actual capitalization and in terms of like what he rightly put, like if you are building into the space. But Prateek, I really want to get your point as well, because I think you have been researching into the space for a long amount of time, and what you have seen in your experience of people building on top of these, and what exactly a customer looks to you, or what exactly a target audience look from your eyes.
Right. I think, as Marvin already said, like I think it was very hard to build T-based applications, but then again, like I think everyone realized that and slowly ramming, and then even that was not like as easy. Now we have like VM based T, like basically TDA, or a lot of them are VM based, where they provide like the entire operating system. Of course, it increases the amount of code you have to trust because that's part of computing based now. But that allows you developers to easily build on it because they are working with familiar environment like machine, more or less, so they can just work with it. So I think in terms of tooling, like I think a lot of experiments are done, and I think whatever we have result of those experiments and understanding what works and what doesn't. And yeah, on top of that, I guess like it's still a bit not as easy, and there are caveats around what how things needs to be handled within a TE. Like generally, when you want to say provide a API to a program and start it, generally just do it. Like you generally pass it as an EN or something and then start it. But in this case, like you have to securely send it to an operator, and then only during runtime when the machine is you have to pass it to the program. Now that changes a few. So
I think Prateek, I'm just gonna uh, I think your audio is yeah. It's so amazing that we are speaking of such high end infra, and and somebody has just not posted it in like can you like fix your earphone?
is it better now?
Yeah, I think yes. I can hear you
Yeah.
better.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so essentially, my point was that like there are there are a lot of improvements which have been done in the space, but there are still certain things which are very specific to the use cases and the security model with which you have to build a TE-based applications, and there is more tooling necessary from that side. I guess that's essentially what I see as improvements which can be done from a tooling side in the TV space.
Yeah, and
And
Conan, do you want to add on, because I have one more thing just to add on top of it.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So just to add on top, I think what Prateek and Marvin has just told is like quite fantastically laid out the right understanding of TE. Again, I think I'll speak. Pardon me, guys. Like if you feel like something going wrong here, just correct me. But I'm going to speak mostly around the design perspective. And that's I think that's where a lot of developers can also correlate it quite well. It's if you look at it more of a design perspective, it's Prakash, like, and to everyone like who are listening, T's. I think what Pratik has just mentioned, it was a very valid point. You need to have, if you're building such system, you need to understand its nitty gritties of it. So essentially, what does that mean? That basically means like you cannot use TE as a normal server. Okay, if somebody is doing that and thinking that they are just code is just running inside TE and everything is just fine and I can use it as a same API layer, it's not going to be fine, because as what Pratik has just told, you have to use some kind of a key management, basically KMS, or you can use some kind of MPCs or tons of other thing inside your application to ensure that those keys are not passed as a env into your systems, right? So like that, there are multiple things which you have to keep in mind, and if you are really sure that the data which you are be operating with is gonna be very important, then feel free to go ahead and use T from the day one. Following on to that, because this was the something which was in my head, Prakash, sorry to cut your host signal for a moment, but so there is one question which I want to ask, and like any three of you can pick this up from your side, like so when we talk about, so for example, let's say LLMs, right? Or any of these things. Now, while I was doing my research around T's, and when we were doing a lot of things around that in my early days of, I think T's has been around for years. It's just that in Web3 we are coming to hear it a lot louder now. So while I was in my healthcare company where I was working with the GP with all these compliances and everything, um, there was a major concern we had is whenever you download a data, right, essentially in any of the buffers which you download on your local server or machine, wherever the T's or SGX are kind of enabled, while transferring that data inside that enclave, is there, what are the implication which comes into the picture while doing that? So let's take a very classic example. I want to download an LLM model. Is it just going to be directly downloading inside a T, or will it be downloading on some external hard drive which is not yet encrypted, and then we move it inside the enclave which we have created? Like, I know you guys, both of you, Marvin, Prateek, and Conan, you can also add in if you guys have built that. Would love to understand what is your design approach around that. Is like, if somebody is trying to achieve that, how they should approach such kind of problem statement inside T. So like essentially they need to just run a code and download everything inside that enclave at the runtime, and and having a faith that the machine hard disk which has been attached, it's also encrypted. Um, like how does it work? Is it a persistent storage? Is it no, it is ephemeral? If it is ephemeral, then how the I think Marvin has talked about the backup solutions and everything, but would love to understand your POV around it. It's like if somebody is deciding that what they should be considering before moving forward into this direction.
Yep,
I know
definitely makes sense. Yeah, that's a great question. To be honest, like, hey guys, like to be honest, I think if you consider like like how the DevRels in let's say Google Cloud or Amazon Cloud tries to persuade their potential customer who haven't on board to their cloud yet to use their infra, how would they say, right? So to our experience, I would say it's not a question to a TE infra provider. Like to us, like we shouldn't like abstract or just design everything for our user, right? We should give enough flexibility to the user to make their own design. So, for example, when I'm pitching to someone, just want to just curious about TEO, they just researching if their team can use TE. I would say if you can run something with smart contract, with let's say Ethereum based Solana near, just do it. Maximize your program into fully on-chain component. And what TE can do a great job is, I believe, even though you try your best, there will be 80% of your code base for the application of the system cannot be running fully on chain, and we deal that 80%, and it's quite kind of like flexible for us to support how they use the TE, and we will give a case by case advisories based on that, because not everyone is the same. For example, for some business like Vana, right? Like they're collecting data from their subDAOs, and their data DAO, like a user just submit their own data set to their data subDAO, and they collect their data, encrypted data, and use it for their tokenomic. So in that case, because data is their main business, and they need to establish the user collection in the very first minute. So just for the long-term security, long-term future, they need to encrypt that data in a TEE as a major business. So TEE is part of their infra. So that is one case. For example, another case, let's say verifiable inference, right? There's many AI agents or AI infras are trying to do decentralized inference. For them, maybe they only need to track like the inference result with a specific AI model. So in that case, they don't need to maximize their program inside TEE. They probably already have their own infra to deal with the decentralization part, and they just need to for example, you can check out how zero gravity infra looks like. It's a totally another story. So to us, I think we learned some lessons from. So here's the story. Like in 2021 and 2022, we actually Phala is the. I'm not saying the only one, but like the very early uh, platform or protocol who make a fully permissionless SGX network. Like literally, there's no permission, right? Anyone sitting his grandma's department can provide their TEE hardware, SGX hardware to Phala. We will just automatically incentivize the rewards to them, and any developer in his daddy's house can just deploy the program on Phala. We will execute the code inside SGX for her. But unfortunately, these fully permissioned, decentralized SGX, we didn't find a strong PMF. It means that people in Web3 don't need that by that time. So, like, my point is like to make that right, we need to abstract everything pretty well. like we abstract not abstract, but we use Grameen, right, to simulate the server, the virtual machine, and we run the customized runtime inside the Grameen so that people can deploy any TypeScript inside the serverless code inside this virtual machine. So but with that level of, we also provide, like on-chain deployment, for permanently deployee, and we will automatically offload the code into a TE executions to do some good load balance job. But we take 2 years, to abstract TEE and make a permissionless decentralized cloud. But unfortunately, it doesn't hit the PMF2. So my suggestion is, I think just in the short term, we just need to talk with more people who intend to use TE and see what indeed they need, and then abstract build a fully permissionless network based on those strong solid demand. That will be make things that will make things much more easier. Yeah, so I got nothing to say. It's just our failure or just a not success experience. Yeah, here. Yeah.
I think it makes a lot of sense, Marvin. Like honestly speaking, because and thank you and kudos to all the TE folks like who have been building. The best part about the TE builders into the space is like they're very vocal on the part where it doesn't work and it works, and they're also very vocal about the state of their developments, right? So I think it's one of the exceptional thing which I have also seen, and kudos to all the TE builders who are there. I have a very high respect because I have been into the TE space. I did my due thing in 2018, 19, around that point of time, while Intel was in quite, so a lot of these FHE and all of this discussion was like going on during that point of time, right? So like while we are on the same talk again, Prakash, sorry, but because it is a very interesting one which Marvin has also put out, and I think Conan is also here from Rena, and when we were looking into Rena, is like I was following you guys also, and kudos to your fundraise recently. So just on top of that, I think you guys have been building this abstraction middleware layer for the TEs, right? And that really caught my eyes. The reason being because that is what Marvin is also saying now is,
Yeah.
and I want to have a very very solid discussion is like, what does that mean? What does that middleware solution to the TE abstraction layer means, like in theory, when there are no cloud exist today on the decentralized and permissionless environment?
Yeah, so I think Marvin has like provided a really good like a past overview of their like how they're dealing with their clients and like the general purpose TE solution and those purpose built TE solutions. So yeah, following what he has said, yeah, we do think like for the stacks that we do appreciate that like Marlin has done, the D stack stuff is pretty useful for those general purpose T deployments. And what's Rena's working on right now for the abstract stacks is we talked to a lot of teams, and we see there are some purpose-built workflows for TE use cases. So we are streamlining some use cases into purpose-built workflow local SDKs. So for this category-specific use case that they can like easily deploy their applications or integrate TE into their protocols with few clicks or just a plugin of SDK. So for like an agent is like one example where by making it compatible with different agent frameworks, the user they're mainly interacting. The UX is mainly interacting with the agent framework where they're clicking launch the agent where T is like together by default. And one other thing that we're building is more related to the ML model. We're also interconnecting to our later stage T-enabled data marketplace. Like for any applications, like they want to run their algorithm on those the user's private data. For example, one of the there's a Web2 game company that we're working with. They want to run an algorithm on their users' behavior, like real-time behavior pattern data. Well, that's like really sensitive data, which the original regulatory are not allowed. But with TE, they can have data on their client end, doing encryption and send to the enclave to orchestrate the model that they have created and doing inference there. Yeah, so this is like one of the typical workflow that we have seen, and a lot of other startups also demanding for. And this the outcome of this like kind of workflow integrating different startups would having like kind of utility where those users' private data or those private proprietary data would be accumulated in encrypt miner, and the metadata of those encrypt data can goes onto the blockchain, where can be further utilized by any other ecosystem builders or engineers or other startups. They want to monetize on their private data while in the privacy preserved miner. Which the outcome of this ecosystem would promoting those the further the private data liquidity to for example, those large language model companies that they want to use this part of data, and they can query the metadata on chain to inject off chain data to the enclave. And another kind of like interesting workflow that we are working on, I would love to start with like a use case about market making. It's like focusing on the centralized exchange scenarios, where on the like we see like there are a lot of front running potential front running activities on those centralized exchange tokens, and the founders are like kind of being cautious about this. While the market makers central exchange API are pretty sensitive data and private data. So we have their data. So we have their data encrypted on their end and sent to the enclave to orchestrate with the detection model in the T enclave. And then the general results will be visualized for the founders. And for this, there's a part design where the market maker might temper the data before they sending attestation and encrypt data on their client end. So the small design we have done here is we will have a file code where on their client end to pull their data, and inside this file code there will be a signature key. And once they're sending the encrypt data to the Rena server, the signature key would also be sending to the server, and they will be checking the signature key. And if it's because if they want to tamper the API data, they need to first temper the signature key. And if once the signature key is tempered, they are the server will reject the submission of those encrypt data. So this kind of like type like workflow is kind of like applying to some SafeI DeFi scenarios where can further kind of validate the integrity and authenticity of TE. Yeah, so additional point besides the abstractions that we're working on is I also really agree with the topics you were talking about, like about the PMF and the use case. I think at the current timing, where crypto AI is getting super popular, the PMF and the use case with PMF is really important to help TE this technology get mind share from the retail users, because once more retail users they getting a realization or awareness, okay, this technology is something that can kind of secure my data to protect my ownership sovereignty there, then this manager would further or revert back to those developers and builders, and they will think of using this technology as they'll prioritize thinking of this using this technology. So that's something also Rena's advocating, working on to create some small interactions with retail users and users, getting them a sense of okay, the technology is actually more implementable and more accessible for them to use on, and it's existing by default for a lot of applications they're using right now and they'll be using in the future.
Conan, sorry, I want to interrupt a little bit. So I really think you are more expertise than me in this. So I've been tracking on because with the market you focus or you think have a very big potential is related in flexible team they call it order flow, right? Like in maybe the trader perspective, they would say this is kind of secret exchange or something like confidential, valuable data, information exchange, intelligence. Okay, let's say it's intelligence exchange marketplace. So I've been also tracking on the after BuilderNet is launched, because that changed the situation from old days that all of the builders need to exchange their intelligence in off-chain or in their private map pools, right? So BuilderNet is actually built to enable this, for example, Titan, Beaver, Flatbot, that they can bundled together. So that's a marketplace inside TEE. So I've been tracking how the market kind of goes after the network is launched. So far, I think it's not that. So what's your perspective? If you see like compare with before like BuilderNet launch and after, to be honest, I think it's growing not as my expectations. So what do you think? Like, is it a TE thing? Is it? Oh, it's just maybe the MEV, how the MEV market, special thing. I'm just also wondering what's the why BuilderNet haven't revealed its fully potential yet, since they launched a very good, solid intelligence exchange market inside TE. So I'm expecting to see more kind of market share change.
Yeah. So like I definitely have seen the Flashbox BuilderNet and have talked to their engineers about this, and I think it's like pretty fascinating. Like product has great potentials, and I think so far the limited attention on this product would probably have contributed to some reasons. Like from my personal thoughts, might be incorrect. So I think first of all, like the Flashbox pretty technical. Those technical expert geeks, and they're like obviously they're not focusing a lot of they're not currently not doing a lot of marketing towards getting more developer clients and getting more retail use measure. And so we see the limited expansion of this product. And the other thing is I think like one potential, like I also tried the BuilderNet myself, and I think the UX like for some like I shared to some of my friends, and I think it's kind of like when you tried it first time, you probably like it probably can still abstract away like some process to make like more easier approach for developer, just like what Phala has done with DStack. Just input some configuration settings and have easier interactions, and to decrease the barriers for developers, to increase the exposure and the lower the barrier to entry. This is like a bit my personal thoughts, and Rena's also like exploring here, and we do see like a greater potential on the data end. And it's not just private data, but also like the use of the mixture between private data and public data and semi-public data, setting like privacy to be like a more modular status for the projects and for the users. And I think this is definitely something that we are interested to explore further and work further with different industry stakeholders like Flashbots, Phala, Marlin together, because like this is like a big thing that right now. Yeah, here like I also actually want to bring like a small point here. Like I want to hear your guys' thoughts, because like in the past year I was talking to a lot of people, especially those like from the investment end. And like one question I've been like being asked for a lot of times was like the market size of TEE, or the potential monetization of TEE, like stuffs. And I think this like also kind of like right now is like a point of time that it's changing. And actually interested to hear like what you guys thought, what do you guys think about this point. And like from a personal perspective, I do think it's like like pretty much a growing market. And we are also figuring out with like a lot of our design partners like how the token can be designed with an intersection of like AI, PE, and the blockchain stuff.
Yeah, bro. Like, also sorry. Any bro, welcome to jump into this question. I really like this question. So to me, I be keep bullish on this for really couple of years. The reason why we can just stick into this, right? No matter like how the for example, the ZK Hive and PC Hive, FHG Hive won't change me and Hans, another co-founder, our mind, is because we really believe the potential of this market. So if you check on all of the technology, innovation scales in the human industry, the mass adoption always belongs to the most practiced and affordable solutions, not the most fancy ones. So even in crypto space, it happened just in the last 3 years. VCs and investors spend 1,000 times more money into ZK roll up instead of just an OP roll up. But actually, the OP roll up take, I would say, based on TVL, based on transaction volumes, users, they already take 85% of the market today, even though they invest so much in ZK raw. I'm not saying anything wrong about ZK. It's just the users, the market, they will vote by their feet, right? If they think something is good, they will just dive in. So they won't make a speech on Twitter thread and say, hey, this is 10 reasons why OP is better than the. No, they won't say shit. They just move their feet into another space. So to measure that, I would say Web3 will take over the Web2 infrastructures in someday. At least while I'm still alive, I can see that they coming. And when the day come, I would say TE will take the majority of the market share, the infra market share for the Web3 world, because the most valuable, the most the how to say the extremely trustless driven use cases and value will be met on fully on-chain infra, without a doubt. And there will be a lot of cases, like say ID, this and that, will be generated by ZK proof, without a doubt. But if we wrap up all of these softwares, it based on quantity instead of quality, I would say that will only take maybe 20% of the future market. The rest 80 will be long tail, scalable, softwares. Probably many of these new Web3 software are coming from Web2, not Web3 native, but they need to run somehow in the trustless infra to be connected with the other infras in Web3. So TE is in that middleware. So that's where we stand. We target on the long tail use cases, affordable market and audience. So to me, I never be bullish like this because I already see a lot of signals to prove my thesis. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I just want to add on top of that little bit some little direction on one more branch I would have to cut on your thing, and we'll merge it later on what you just said, Marvin. What if you ask me? I think what Marvin has covered is the affordability part, but if you look at more very closely is how affordability comes when systems become less complex. Okay, and that is what I have learned, like over so the lesser the complex system will become over the time, the more affordable it will become, because then handling the system cost goes quite down, right? So that's how software design system works. I'm a more of a design guy, so I'm going to speak around that from that perspective. As far as I can see on the TE side, for the next couple of years, most likely we are going to see amazing development coming from you guys. And I would, I already bought in your token, so that's fine. I'm already be riding into along with you guys. But that's one part. The second part is, like, I have a very different overview where I feel that if you look at, because any software, any computation, any programmatical problem always has certain saturation and certain limits and certain bar which you always hit, and that bar is not a hardware restriction, that bar is not any other restriction, that bar is the design restrictions. And when I look at T basically resists itself on a design level on multiple segments. I can go on and we can do multiple arguments around the same, because I have put my lot of tons and times into this while I was doing the research, and while we were also defining this Spheron. So even at Spheron, we defined the system in a way so that it can always integrate TE. Like, once you guys are production ready, we'll be more than happy to get you guys onboarded in Spheron, and we'll plug into, and then say suddenly, like, the retail will be able to access the TE at scale. But the biggest challenge here is the system complications. Till the time those things are not handled, what I see now, and I do agree, Marvin, on that point, is we all are, the entire Web3 infra is gonna be in next 4 to 5 years down the line. I'm not talking about next 1 year, because I don't look at the 1 year as a term, because in infra it doesn't make any sense. even if I say that, it just it just doesn't make sense, because it's going to take some time. And what we are going to see is both the infra which is without T and the infra with the T has to capture the Web2 infra, so that everything can plug in together, and depending on use cases, people can go and use it. Again, affordability is going to be the biggest play here, but for me is like, again, bullish on the entire TE infrastructure as such down the line, uh, because of the data pipeline and there are a lot of compliances. But again, just for Marvin and Prateek and Conan, for you guys, while we were doing this hospital thingy, right, during in that company, um, so a lot of time, even in GDPR compliances and terms of other places, like, so they also restrict some places not to use TE-based systems on the cloud. It's because cloud is a cloud, right? It goes with multiple. It requires different set of engineers to work around the TEs. If I may, if I've been reading the articles around the same, and I was chatting to, when you guys launched the TE, I pinged my previous architect, and I said, like, bro, like, why you guys are not moving to TE-based clouds, and you are still stuck into the on-prem systems? And they were like, we are still struggling and asking authorities to approve such kind of systems, because there is still some kind of security lags which are there. But I would love to see how it goes away as we kind of all build along, because it has a lot of complications which we can discuss day in and day out, while we are moving data, while we are encrypting data, what kind of data, and all of those stuff. I'll pause here. If you guys want to add anything else, would love to hear. But I'll hand over mic to Prakash, or else we'll keep on going on, and this space is never going to end. For the next 12 hours, we can keep talking around the system. Yeah, Prakash.
But it's good to have people like who are really interested around tech into this and uh, really going ahead on it.
Yeah, I
So
hope you also understand everything here.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to like follow as much as I can, like, and my leg always gets pulled out for being the so there is this thing called member of technical staff. I'm the member of non-technical staff, so it becomes a thing onto understanding. Prateek, you have been fairly very chatty in this stream. I would, but on the opposite, I would love to have some comments from you, because there was a lot of to and fro that happened between Marvin, Conan, and Prashant, and you didn't. I would have your 2 cents onto this as well, and then we move on to the next thing. I think we're going to push it down to a bit. We are going to skip a few questions, and but I would love to know your POV to this as well.
Right. So yeah, I think like the infra as such is going to be like the Web2 coming to Web3. Basically, there are certain applications which probably are better handled with the technologies we use in Web3, but then that's not the norm in Web2, and most of the like things are fine in Web2, so no one cares at this point, I guess. But at some point, I guess like there are a lot of like issues coming up even with AI training and things like that. There are a lot of issues around like where is the data coming from, what exactly is being fed to train a model and things like that, right? So I think those are certain things which we could already do with the technologies we use. Of course, the scale is different, but we could probably do that with the like technologies we use. So and it's not that it's something like unique to Web3. It's just that in Web3 we use them a lot. So I think from that standpoint, I guess like there are like I could see certain applications which today can use and eventually they will. So that's how I feel that like Web2 will use Web3 or Web3 companies which are building in Web3. At least the starting point, which I can see like right away.
Amazing. So I'm going to put out this question for you guys. Like, what happens, like, if, because you can see that this whole agentic wave has come down the line, and what we can see that they can be built on top of TEEs and normal other compute as well. And surprisingly, Prashant has also written a great article on that, and we would love to cover that as well. But what happens if there is no such control of, like, if the human decree becomes less over a TE based system, what could happen in that specific climate or a setting? Like, can it be more destructive kind of set? Like in terms of, let's think of a financial instrument in a case, and which do not have much access to any user or to any dev. What could happen in that space? What do you guys think?
I can pick it up if
Yeah,
that's
awkward.
that's what.
Yeah, you just break these awkward silence. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah. So yeah, so this is what happens when we all have like all the tech folks sitting at the room, and then everyone start thinking at the same time. But coming back to on the part of like, I personally want to see that happening. Honestly, like where human decree, like where as a human us, we don't control what these agents or anything whatever we build, they go keep on like doing whatever they wish to. There might be different views, because when I was talking to, I think last time when we were talking, like Rob from Thuric, he had a very different opinion. Is like, he was like, no, you know what, I don't want to see that happening, because what if these agents could take over and start harming the society as such? I said, like, the society is not consuming the digital infrastructure anyways, like in a lot of other ways. So it's fine, they are not buying our food to eat, they are buying compute to do, right? So we are, at least we are fine. We can go back to cultivating our own food and farming, going back to farming and doing those stuff till the time these guys are, agents are doing the all the economical headache for our side. So that's my take on that. I think that's where I also wrote about an article which you have also mentioned, Prakash, like the Skynet. The approach of the Skynet is also the same thing, is to build a fully autonomous agent which allows everyone to go ahead and build something which is completely autonomous, and let those autonomous agents run on its their own, make profit out of it, make do in as a collective intelligence they can use. And that is where I want to add on. So these agents can use either TE based systems, these agents can use either normal systems, these agents can use whatever they wish to. We don't restrict that. But as a design part, we allow that to go ahead and do use whatever they wish to. And that's where this kind of basic concept arises into, right? So that's my take on that article, like why I have written that. And one of the reasons also of doing that is because a lot of times as a founder, like we keep on, not in a founder, as a builder, like you keep on building something and you always miss out some tokens when you have to buy in the market. Right? It's good, like I bought some of your token before it ran. So but apart from the industry which I don't follow, I could not. So such kind of agents could play a very vital role, where you deploy them. Collective intelligence and collective creation of these agents can come together and essentially help you to make your portfolio go green than being just red always, right? I've been so that's the place where I'm kind of like more bullish on this autonomous agent and doing the things. And I no longer have to pay them also. So that's gonna be the best part, which I'll be looking into.
And exactly for DeFi AI use case, like that is somewhere everybody has strung up upon, and there is a whole wave which is going on. Like DeFi AI would be the next thing. Would you think that TE position itself as the perfect set of compute that can be utilized for it? Because financial instruments require a lot of sophistication and the data which is utilized on top of it. So, like, would TEs, like, what could TEs play a role in all of these DeFi DeFi X AI based apps? What do you think? What do you guys think?
I think I'll go first, and then you guys can follow on that one. So because Skynet, in that we have already mentioned few things. On the very high level, if you look at it, totally depends which kind of Def AI use cases you are building. What Conan and what Marvin and these guys have just talked about is the flashbots and all of those systems where market maker and everything, those stuff. That's a totally different use case versus the use case which can be done in a very public and most. And that's where I also love the like Marvin point was like, if you can put most of the logic which are essential on chain, then you only have to abstract out the logics which are not on chain to off chain, and then get it executed either on T or non T based systems. Depends. It depends like which kind of data we are consuming. So I would say like depends what you are building, but yeah, if you are building DeFi, you can do both. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I think
Conan,
I
Marvin,
agree.
Yeah. So I think like DeFi AI is definitely something interesting to explore, because right now, personally speaking, I think the AI agent and the token has like a very limited value circulation there. But this is something that like a lot of teams are working on. And one particular interesting like sector that we've been following up or working on is intent-centric agent, where like especially among those decentralized exchange use case where you're gonna like for a lot of Web2 users, especially right now that a lot of Web2 users jumping on chain, and they're stuck with like complex on-chain trading procedures. So the intent-centric agents would help them to minimize the on-chain like operations. They like minimizing those like operation procedures, like jumping between the pages, like different web pages, or doing like a lot of bridging stuffs. And what we do with this is we working like we're kind of like Rena has like a TE infra here, and for the signature task is done by another TE, which is turnkey. The agent will do auto sign in the turnkey and execute it through Rena's execution environment. But like one problem I also have seen like in here is if you make it like a fully autonomous, like you make it a fully autonomous, like executing all the tasks, like that agent to execute all the tasks. There are some like error could potentially causing the asset loss, or there are some false positives, etc. A better UX approach that we're seeing is like like approval based, just like so the one is for example, there are 7 steps here, and one is executing each steps. It will jump on like an approval for the user, like so he or she can avoiding jumping between the web pages, but like still have the control over click approve or not. And the final decision is still made by the user, so the responsibility of asset loss would directly come to the user decision, would be more clear on this aspect. Yeah, but I definitely think that he is like the most implementable and affordable solution here to keep the agent verifiable and being like scam resistant. Yeah, that's my
I, I totally agree what Conan just mentioned, and I do agree that AFI or DEFAI whatever is a big thing for the next agent competitions, and of course the autonomous. I think the only way to make autonomous AI agent today is using TE. But this is exactly why we originally like discovered the idea of spread out fund, right? Like agent can just earn some bucks and pay all of the bills by itself for the servers, for the LLM, GPU inference. And then if it have a very good capability to make more money, then it probably can just create another brother, son, daughter for itself. So that's a autonomous AI agent can run inside here. I think that's the strong narrative here. But just to add up 2 cents, I think sometimes the market need something simpler. My experience that like we met Shao, right, from AI16Z in last November, and back to then, right, like I think the reason for the popularity of ELIZA framework is not because all of those fancy functions. It's just a one simple reason. Just if you are using ELIZA to set up your AI agent in last December, you don't need to pay for Twitter API. That is I would say that was the major reason why there's so many developers using that framework. Not because it's well connected, with blockchain plugins. No, just because you can run Twitter client and post things without paying. So I think that sometimes I would say in TE and sometimes the reason why people are using it is really simple. The uncertainty of AI. Because AI is very hard to be explained or track back, the decision making, how it thinking, right? Like how it makes some decisions. It is a hard job. Explainable AI is very hard. So when the AI agent, let's say, is capable to do some things that out of people's imagine, like something like XBeat, right? It can really reply in real time, and it can give a very high quality insight for what's happening in crypto space. A lot of people begin to ask questions like, is this really AI, or is it just someone like behind the door, right? Like just trying to manipulate the accounts. That happened. And of course, this will happen after AI file is getting popular too, because for the user, like the IQ50 community, it's very hard to understand, how the trading is coming from. Like, how does the AI make the decision to trade, let's say, Marlin token instead of Phala token? Is someone like trying to manipulate this situation, right? I think this is the reason why you need to put an AI agent into the box to make things simpler. What we are trying, like all of us guys trying to solve here, is actually an interest triangle between developers, AI agent, and community. So each party actually don't trust the other party that much. So by putting it into TE can somehow improve the trust relationship between these three parties massively. So that's my current. So, but I don't know. Maybe things change. In the next day, right? Like, I just think like for today, the meme coin market. Trust is a big issue, and the ones who can solve the trust issue actually have some front run advantage, and that's why people are requesting to use TE to build some stuff. But yeah, I don't know about true market size until maybe after. Well, so far we are also quite uncertain about it, but I'm pretty sure people don't trust each other in meme market now. Yeah.
But I would love to just slightly go opposite to what you said, Marvin. Is like, do like we really need tea? I think I'll love to share that article, and I think I've already done that on our group. Would love to take your points onto that as well. Is like, does it also solve the same thing or not? But if you ask me, I know, yeah, it's all of our job to also push our own protocols. But honestly speaking, there is a I again, I'm not going to be speaking more of because you guys are way better than me in terms of the code and everything, but I also have some understanding around design. And one thing which I've learned is, again, coming back to the same thing, I'm a design maxi. You guys might be knowing it by now because I'm using design every time. Is a lot of time you can also solve the problems by creating a redundant design systems, which eventually do the minus equals to plus, right? So if you want to achieve the plus, right, at the end. So if you design the system in a way, it just works. So I would highly recommend you guys to do take a look into that, which will also, and I also wrote into that, is like, at a certain point of time we may also need some level of T, but not 100% level of T, which is required. So I'm saying like, okay, 30% of this entire system requires T, most like 70% will not. Or even 100, if the use case is very different, then 100% not. Even if the use case is very different, it can require 100% as well. So that's where this article basically speaks about. I think I've already shared with the Marlin team. I don't know like if I've shared with you, Marvin, in Argo. I think I do. I remember that. So I need to follow up with you for the article feedback. So
Please give me please share with me. I think it's an amazing idea. I want to help to promote it hard. Yeah, I think it's great. Sorry guys, I got another meeting. I need to jump out. I might got like maybe another 3 minutes, something like this. Yeah.
No issues. We are just on rampant, like on the last set of this, because we have already covered most of the points, and this is mostly around you as Prashant said, that we are all here to go ahead and tell us about what we have been building and what we do, and how bullish are we into the TE space, and what we truly think, specifically from the agentic cycle and the TE space. Marvin, I'm going to give it to you because you got to leave soon, and then we can move on to Prateek and Conan and Prashant.
Yeah, appreciate. So I think the next things we are going to be very focused on is to find the most valuable use cases that uh, let me put wrap up my words in a bit. I think the worst thing we want to show is that if you are using TE, it can save you something, right? Save your cost or just save your budget, reduce the barrier for trust. That's not a good setting, like because in that case, people will the potential users will only assume, hey, how much I can get right from saving the budget, using TE or something like that. It doesn't help that much. But I think the most bullish selling point for TE is what's the most wild, crazy idea you can build only with TE. I think if people see that potential, like for example, Marlin helped to build worms, right? Like, and that kind of level of idea can inspire a lot of people, and Spro and Fun also inspire some people, like what is autonomous AI agent if you're using TE, right? So I think that level of new ideas and crazy demos is where we are at for now. So the next focus for us is to discover the most valuable use cases that you can only have with TE. But another thing I think is as you guys already bring up topic for a while, the AI file. And I'm a little bit kind of overthinking. I might just be overthinking on this because there's already a lot of good AI agents can help translate users' nature language into on-chain transactions and moves, and then wait for the user right to approve these signatures and then make the executions. 2 years ago it's called intent centric. Now it's called agentic centric on transactions. But I'm a little bit worried about if this can not work. But like this is the thing, because what I see from Solana ecosystem, like people literally don't use Radium. They think signing transactions on Radium is or using their Phantom wallet taking too much time. I want to AP in the next second for $10, right? So this is why they use the Telegram Snapper bots that much instead of doing things directly on wallet and these DEX directly. So my I might be overthinking on it, but I think maybe AFI could look much simpler than our current description now. Yeah, it could be really dummy, risky, So in that case, actually, that's a good thing for TE, because the most centralized these toolings or next coming products is, then the more reliance for the TE, because that can make some tools apart from the others, some agent apart from the others. Because after all, people maybe don't in Solana community don't want to make take 10 minutes to sign something on Ledger or on their just a website. They don't want to. So maybe some really centralized, experienced but high efficiency workflow agent can win the AI fight game. And in that case, they will definitely need TE. So I think I'm very bullish on this kind of experience. Yeah. Sorry, it's kind of very random, but like I think that's a good wrap up for me.
True, and I think we respect that, like you putting out your POV specifically onto that. And thank you so much for joining us, Marvin. And
You guys.
Prateek, over to you.
Yeah. So I think Basically, we are also working a lot with agents and a lot of agent frameworks as well. And apart from that, as Marvin also mentioned, we are working with like Worm. This is like a digital organism which is running on chain, and where all the inferences, like the actual simulation of the v- brain of the worm, happens within a TE on Oyster. So yeah, this is one more area which we think is like pretty interesting, because we don't know where else can this be done if not in Web3. So yeah, I think this is pretty cool. And apart from that, also like we are working a lot on tooling right now. We recently released our CLI, basically where you can, like with command line, you can deploy enclaves, you can manage everything, all that. And we also are working like basically on a lot more hackathons, figuring out what are good use cases for using agents with T's and things like that. And yeah, I think that's essentially what we see. Like these are certain areas which we see are like going to be good. So yeah, we're trying to figure out what's the best use case and how we can build it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Prateek. And Conan, over to you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, so yeah, thanks. So I think for Rena at our current stage, we are approached to launch our first product, which will be featuring TE powered various agent frameworks. And this would be more user and centric. So this is like the direct product that we're gonna engage with our retail users. But at the same time, we also have a lot of B2B partnerships we're announcing right now, and like we will be involving, especially I think will be more active in the trading DeFi sector there, because that's what we can directly engage retail users. So like as what I just mentioned, you can see that what we do really care about is end user, retail user. So even though they are not directly interacting with TE, but they're unconsciously interacting with TE for the application they're using, or the protocol they're using, or the blockchain they're using. So but at this point of time, we want to let them realize when you're using this product, your data, your transaction is secured, and you can have further actions, like staking or any other approach. This is something that will be published soon, before Denver. That you can proactively to claim those in-app data and those in-app data ownership, because like the encrypted data are gonna accumulate on their end, where they can have proactive claiming ownership, and also like I wanna like release like another information that we'll be hosting like on PMF summit during Denver, and at that point in time we'll be inviting a lot of like interesting use cases using TE to build up their solution. And like I think that would be like one of the big event to have T exposure, use case exposure. Like we always think use case the first thing, where we get the market attention, where we get the mind share there. Yeah, so this is like what Rena currently working on, and feel free to get in touch with us, and we are more than happy to work with different projects as design partners. Yeah.
And would you be inviting us
Yeah,
to the
like
PMS summit? Yeah.
we sent you the details in chat, so like feel free to
Getting the
like
permission on the live call.
Yeah.
Even the Conan, oh bro, like I would not get that, but now I have to say yes.
yeah, like definitely a pleasure to invite you guys to be part of like this PMF journey, I would say. Like and we can focus on a point like how your products getting the product market fit,
It's
and
it's quite bold to do PMF summit in crypto industry, right? Like
yeah, that's like yeah, I mean like we will have having some interesting debate there, like
That
about
too.
agent
yeah.
DeFi, and some clashing points that we have seen on Twitter. So we'll be able to see those in-person debate, and we'll try to create like a secure space where people can talk everything that they can talk well.
Can secretly talk about
physical-
products,
physical
working
key space
products.
Yeah, it's like isolated memory, physical key space there. where you
Does
talk
it
and-
really work?
Yeah, it's gonna be encrypted.
Amazing. Prashant, over to you.
Yeah, man. For our side again, at Spheron, we are doing a lot of things now, which is in parallel going on. But the most important part is the launch of the Skynet, which we are currently working on, which is a completely fully autonomous AI agents. And I think that's where I'm going to be talking to three of our panels here to ensure that some part of that is also being like hosted on T. But on the other side, we are aggregating like as much compute power as possible to ensure that when we get into the world where we need an affordable compute, we are able to provide the retail and the community out of the box. So that's where Spheron basically sits in with the right tooling and services out of the box. And as we discussed, like the PMF of the product, which either it works or not. Yes, it does work at Spheron. Feel free to log into console.spheron network and go ahead and rent out a GPU, CPU, or play around with it. We are proud to build such kind of systems. Now coming back to again a couple of things. This month is going to be very interesting for all of us. So looking forward to see what comes next. If you want to follow Spheron, go to Spheron FDM. You are already on Spheron FDM, but if you want to follow me, Prashant _ XYZ, I want to share here myself because this is Spheron's channel. So please follow Prashant _ XYZ, and also do follow Spheron FDN as also because there are a lot of updates which are going to be dropping in there. So and also follow all of our partners like who onboarded in this amazing space. Conan, Prateek, and Marvin. So looking forward to seeing you guys eat Denver, Conan. I don't know, Prateek, if you are going to be there, but
Yeah,
would
I'll
be
probably be missing out, but some of my team is going to be there. So
yeah. Then we all are going to meet again.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, guys, for joining us, and thank you so much for building into the space. We are all set for AI Agents XT